Welcome to Revit 2019 Demo 47. In this lecture, we're going to discuss Revit 2019 path issues and solutions. So what we want to do is we want to go into the search bar down here if you're on Windows 10, and we want to look for Control Panel. So we're going to type in Control Panel. Control Panel is going to come up. We actually want to go up a folder and head to Appearance and Personalization. Under Appearance and Personalization, we want to go into our folder options. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into Show Hidden Files and Folders. And what will pop up is this text dialog here. And we want to tell it to show hidden files, folders, and drives. That's important. And we're going to hit OK. What that does is it opens up access to what Revit's looking for. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go into a project. So we'll open up Demo 46. And inside of Demo 46, we'll just go to Level 1. And then under Level 1, we'll hit File. In the past, there used to be a large icon of Revit here. So it was just an R, and it would drop this same dialog. They've since changed it to just be a File drop-down. And from here, we're going to go into Options. Now, under Options, you're going to get this dialog to pop up. And what we want to do is go into File Locations. Now, if any of these file locations are empty, that's not going to pull any of those template files. Notice that in here we have our construction, architectural, structural, and mechanical. If I move these around into the order that I'm more than likely to use them, this is just generally how I'm likely to use them, would be something like this. Then when I hit OK and I go into File, New Project, it's going to default to that top architectural template. So that's important to know. Now, it's also important to know that you want to create a project and not a project template from a template. If you were creating a project template from a template, that just means that you're going to continuously be pulling new project templates out rather than projects. The project template is the RTE, and the project file is the .rvt. So what we need to do is just make sure that that's set. We'll go back to File, Options. Notice that I had canceled out of that last dialog. We're going to go into File, Options, File Locations, and these are now organized. The default path for user files is located here. So if I browse to this location, it's going to take me here. And all this is saying is that my default files will save here. My default path for family template files is here. So if I browse, this will show me that file. Now it's browsing for a folder right here. It's not going to show me what's contained within that. So if I wanted to see what was contained within that, I could highlight this file path, copy it, open up my browser, paste that path here, hit enter, and it'll take me in there so I can see what's in there. Notice that these values are set to .rfts. That's a Revit family template file. We'll get into creation on those in the second class, but for now, just understand that that's where these templates exist. So our root path for point clouds, this is kind of irrelevant for right now. Point cloud file is a laser scan file, and we're just not dealing with those in this class, so we don't need to worry about it. Now, one thing to note is that in here, what we can do is if any of these are ever blank, you're going to want to resort to the Word file that has the Gallatin College Revit book, and you're going to want to look for the lecture that we're on, and it's going to explain the places, and I'm going to find that really quickly here. And what it does, you can find this on Google as well, aside from the Revit book, but what it does is it explains basically where the default location should be and what, if you can't find them, where they should be located. So if I scroll up here, I'm pretty close. We're going to go into right here. Revit 2019 is what we're on, Path Issue Solutions. We've gone through this section here, but notice that these are the default paths. So this is actually 2019. So if I just change all of these 2018 values to 2019, it's incrementally going to continue for 2020 and so on and so forth unless there's a catastrophic move. But there shouldn't be because it's been like this for about 20 years. That's not to say it can't change. But if I were to take this file path here and copy it and open up the folder and paste it up above, hit enter, it's going to take me directly to that location. So under Revit 2019, I have family templates, I have my libraries, I have my US Imperial Library, these are all my families. Down here are all my text documents that reference my shared parameters or keynote files. These are keynote files. And so just understanding where Revit is pulling this information is super valuable. So I'll post this on D2L so that it's located there so it's quick and easy to find. But that's the extent of Demo 47. And if you have any questions trying to find any path issues or solutions, just let me know. If you have a material library situation as well, those things are all fixable. Generally, it'll result into a refresh or a re-download. Another thing that's important to know, and I'll get into it in this lecture real quick before we end it, but if we go to manage.autodesk.com, in here it'll sign into your default login if you're signed in. And so my default login is my email, and then I'll go to all products and services, and more often than not you'll have a Revit 2019 student license. So you'll scroll down to Revit, and 2019's here. This has your serial key as well as your product code. I'm not worried about it because you can reactivate this stuff all the time. So from here you can view your downloads, and then under view downloads it'll show you what versions you can download. If you're having an issue installing, you can go in here and download now or do a browser download. I always default to browser download, it's easier. But something that's important to note, and the reason I'm getting into this is because it's more often than not that they release new updates. So the latest update is Revit 2019.2. That's not located in here because it's issued primarily to people that have purchased the application. And so you can look at the release dates of what the most recent update is. I lie, I actually found it. It's right here, Revit 2019.2 update. Sometimes they'll push these to people that are subscribers that actually purchase the product first. So sometimes, even though it says it's released January 16th, it may be released later. So just be aware of that. These are super important. I know that there's a bug with this update to where when you download it and patch your software, that it'll actually require you to reinstall it. So I don't recommend it right now, but you can browser download from here as well. So just be aware of that. Under activation, this just shows which ones have been activated or need activation. And that's the extent of essentially your Autodesk account side of things. Now, the reason I'm showing this is because it's very pertinent to a lot of these file path locations. So if you're associating a value or missing something, you may have to reinstall it. And that's the place to go, is manage.autodesk.com. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to email me. And that's the extent of this lecture. We don't need to save any demo files for this because it was just showing the path issues solutions. I'm not going to require for you to turn that in. I do require that you understand this, and that is the extent of the lecture. I'll see you in the next.